I hope you are having a wonderful day. I'm actually going to redo the introduction for this video. It's already been a year and a half since I brought my cat here, and I realized that a lot of commenters had questions more about the experience rather than the destination and the process to get her here. So I'm going to omit some of the information that was very specific for Japan because what I had to do won't be the same for you. I brought my cat from the Midwest US to Japan, and it was a very long process just to prepare her. Every country has different paperwork, but for Japan I had to fill out many stuff, and I did keep all of her paperwork, even the receipts. So when you start the process and you go to the veterinarian, just keep everything just in case. And for her, I kept everything in a nice little binder here. Everything is in plastic because I just didn't know what I would need and if I was gonna have any problems throughout that. And when I started getting her ready in 2017, I came across a lot of bumps along the way because the veterinarian that she's been going to for 7-8 years did the process wrong, and I didn't find this out until like a month I was supposed to be moving here. So for most of 1 year she had to stay with my mom because I just couldn't start the process over. It's like a minimum of 6 months to start preparing a dog or a cat because you have to get the rabies shot if the country you're going to is rabies free. You know, from the US is not rabies free, but Japan is rabies free. So you had to get, I think, 2 orders of shots with a specific time in between, and then you have to go through quarantine, which is 6 months. Now quarantine can be at your house, but if you're leaving with your pet before that quarantine is over, which is 180 days, they will have to finish their quarantine at the airport, and that's very costly because you have to pay for the room and board for your pet. The airport which I was flying into is 2 hours from the town that I was moving to, and I just didn't want to put her through that because my cat is a very anxious animal. So my mom helped me prepare her again. I had to do the process all over again, the shots, the blood test, the quarantine, and then the veterinarian has to send a certificate to get it stamped, which was like $500. It was, I think overall, I mean, it won't be so expensive for you if you do it right. So make sure you check the country that you're moving to, their website, and everything you have to do, and follow it very carefully because I had to do it twice, and I think I spent like $2,000 overall to bring her here. She's the only cat I would do that for. On the USDA website, they have really good information. This is specifically for Japan, obviously, but it's been updated for this year. And if you are from a non-designated region, which is anywhere except Iceland, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji Islands, Hawaii, and Guam, you have to do the long process that I had to do. And if you go down, most likely where you are moving to will have the same or similar steps. So step 1, microchip. Step 2, rabies vaccination, which was actually when my process got messed up because between rabies vaccination 1 and 2, there has to be 30 days in between. And my vet did like 29 days and it was not accepted. So the longest process obviously is between steps 3 and 4, which is the FAVN test, and then your quarantine of 6 months. With the advanced notification, I had to email my destination airport in Japan, not less than 40 days before I get there, of course. and they look over the dates of your shots to make sure that all the steps were correct. And they were actually the ones who told me that my step 2 was not correct. And after that, you have your inspection papers, which they, after you're approved, they email you that and you print it off and you have to show it to them when you arrive. And with the import inspection, they just welcome you, and you have to show them that paper that they emailed you before, and that was actually the easiest part for me. Really quick, most likely you will have to do a FAVN shot. They take a blood draw of your cat or dog and they send it to the Kansas State Veterinary Department, and that takes a month or so to get the results back. And she passed with a 0.5, which I think is the minimum. In your binder, I recommend asking for your veterinarian of the cat's medical history. I didn't know if she would need it, but it's really useful just for proof, just in case you have problems, and for the veterinarian that you're going to switch to in the country that you're going. Your vaccination tags, it's not required, but you just never know. And most countries require you to get a microchip, and I did that through Home Again. I believe the veterinarian did it through this company. So, and they give you a little tag for their collar if you want, and you have an account just in case you lose your pet, and so when the veterinarian in the country you're moving to scans it, they can see your information. When in doubt, keep everything. So like this is the receipt that I got when I checked in at Chicago, in case they needed proof later on. You don't have to keep it, but you never know. And because I took Asiana Airlines, it's Korean, so half the stuff is in Korean, but you do get this when you check in. I am a very anxious person, and my cat is also a very anxious cat. So preparing was very, very stressful. I didn't have anything to refer to. There's just not a lot out there specifically to bring a cat in cabin for a 2-day trip on a plane. And so I kind of just had to wing it. Amazon was my best friend, basically. I did buy some stuff for her. One thing that I really think saved my life was the specific cat carrier that I used. This is the carrier that I used, which I bought from Amazon for about $50. The sides can actually zip up and zip down. So inside, you can unzip the fluff, and then after you do that, it'll fold down like that. And if you wanted to change the inside of this to something more softer or squishier, you can do that as well. You can take it out, and once everything is zipped back up, it's a little carrier that you can use forever. She already knows it's for the vet now, so she's kind of looking at it warily. But I bought it from a jet sitter company. It's kind of a generic brand, but and I still have my ticket for the airlines on there, and I never took it off. She utilized it very well. I think she would have cried if she wouldn't have had a lot of space to turn around. So one thing I highly recommend doing is putting the cat carrier in your living room and putting some toys and maybe some cat treats in there and trying to coax them in there and sleep, because if you just put your cat in a carrier that has all of these unfamiliar smells, they're already going to get stressed out just from going to the airport. So if they can sleep in there and at least get comfortable in it, it'll have those familiar smells and they won't be crying as soon as before you even get to your car. A couple of other things that I purchased was a foldable cat litter box, which you can buy from eBay or Amazon. For me, I bought on Amazon because it's faster shipping. And it's foldable, so you can roll it in a ball and put it in your carry-on. And I also bought some jumbo liners because when you unfold the cat litter box, you don't want them to pee on the actual box, because like you got to put that back in your carry-on. So the liners help collect the pee in the cat litter. And speaking of cat litter, I also brought a little Ziploc baggie of cat litter, but forewarning, it'll probably make the airline scanners beep, but it was fine. Before I brought her here, the veterinarian recommended before you leave not to feed the cat because of motion sickness, so they will probably puke. She said I should bring a little tiny bag of cat food, but instead of giving her like a big bowl and put everything in there, you know, throughout your plane ride, just give her a little piece of cat litter, or sorry, cat food here and there. It's more like a snack rather than a meal. And when I actually tried giving her a meal when I landed in Incheon, Korea, which was my layover, and she didn't want to eat the meal, but when I would give her little nibbles of cat food on the plane, she would eat it. So at least, like, you know, she wasn't starving. We just went through security and checking her in. It all went pretty smoothly if you have all your paperwork. It did cost $200, and when you take them through security, you do have to take your pet out of the carrier. She was kind of freaked out, but overall, I was pretty happy with it. They did pull me over for my cat litter, but they still let me keep it. She's all snuggled in there. I gave her some water and some kibble, which she ate. So I'm kind of hoping she drinks a little bit of water. And I did put her pee pad in there just in case. To clarify, I paid an extra $15 on the airline booking site to get that specific seat, so I had a little more room and to be next to the bathroom just in case. The flight was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. It was actually 13 and a half hours rather than the 11 that I thought it was going to be. So most of the time she was pretty quiet, but around the 4-hour mark she started getting really antsy. So I think she had to go to the bathroom. So I took her into the bathroom there, and I like unfolded my little cat litter, and in that little tiny airplane bathroom, and she ended up going to the bathroom. So now we're at the Incheon airport in South Korea. We just went through security. They were all petting her, and they really liked her. But there was no problems with the security. But now I have 3 hours to waste. So I guess I'm gonna try to find a really big enclosed bathroom where I can just let her loose for 3 hours. But so far she's doing pretty well. I'm not really looking forward to the 1.5-hour plane ride because we're just in a plane for 13 and a half hours. But we'll see. Hi everyone. So we made it home. It has been a very long journey. 3 hours of car ride to Chicago, 13.5-hour plane ride, another 4-hour layover, another plane ride, and then the drive home. The whole thing was over 24 hours. So we were both very tired. I haven't slept in 2 days. So when we arrived in the Fukuoka airport, I went through immigration and I got my suitcases, and then you have to go through the quarantine services. So as long as your paperwork is all correct, it only took them 10 minutes to do my paperwork, make copies and look it over, and she passed. Thankfully, because it's been a very long time to get her ready. So at the moment, she's kind of just walking around and eating, and I'm trying to get her to drink, because I will say throughout the whole trip, she did not drink any water. So I'm trying to get her to drink so that way she's not like super dehydrated, and getting her used to her new litter box and the bedroom, and it's super messy right now. So overall, I would recommend, number one, getting your pet used to the carrier, keeping it in your house for at least a month so they can sniff it and get used to it and sleep in it, possibly just like she did, because she was very, very comfortable in her carrier. Buy things that you think they might need, like if they have an accident, like, you know, pee pads. I bought a foldable cat litter box, which she used twice, so that definitely came in use, because, like, you know, cats can't hold it in for more than 12 hours or they're probably going to get a urinary tract infection. So so if you hear your cat, you know, kind of meowing a lot while on the plane and getting really restless, they probably have to go to the bathroom. So you should sneak them into the bathroom and kind of like let them out and let them go pee in there, and bring a little baggie of cat litter. At least at Chicago O'Hare, they accepted the cat litter, and Seoul and Fukuoka, they didn't give me any problems with the cat litter either. And I wouldn't recommend listening to any music or movies. I know that's saying a lot, especially for a really long flight. I didn't do anything for 13 and a half hours. It was terrible, because, like, you know, if she started meowing or making a fuss, you know, I would have to tend to her. You know, like, you know, I wouldn't be able to hear it if I had headphones in. Just be patient, and it is possible to take a cat on a long international flight. I just did it myself. I am the most anxious person in the world, and I was able to do it. And, you know, we've only been home for a couple hours, and she seems to be doing well. Yes. So again, we are currently in Japan. My paperwork is going to be different than your paperwork. So if you ask me questions like, oh, how do I get my pet to Argentina or the UK? Like, I don't know. I'm just very familiar with the Japan requirements. So I hope you at least learned a little bit of the process, since there's not really a lot out there to take your pet on a long international flight. So, and another thing, just kind of be careful with which airline you choose. I did mention earlier that Asiana is my preferred airline, but I was not really happy with them when I was going from Seoul to Fukuoka. It's only like an hour plane ride, so it's a really small plane, but I've never had this problem before. I mean, it was a really older plane that obviously wasn't meant for pet carriers under the seat. Like, it was too small under the seat. So their first solution was to put my poor cat in, like, the overhead. And, like, you know, I remember, I think it was United who put that French Bulldog puppy in the same place, and it died from lack of oxygen, I believe. So I was like, no, like, do you want her to die? Because that's crazy. So then, after they asked the captain, they then said that they're gonna shove her in a closet, and I was like, a closet? Okay. Is there going to be air in there? Because you just recommended to put her in the overhead where there's, like, no air. So they assured me there was going to be oxygen in there. So I trusted them, and I put this poor cat in a flight attendant closet where it's completely dark. And she was kind of like across the hallway, and I could hear her just going crazy in there, like meowing all over the place, because, you know, it's dark, and she's really close to me. Like, she's been my Velcro cat ever since we got back. So
While I do recommend Asiana Airlines, try seeing how long it is. If it's a really long flight, you'll definitely have enough space under your the front seat in front of you. But if it's like a really, really short flight, somewhere in there, it's probably not gonna fit, at least for Asiana. So I was a little unhappy with that experience. But if you have any questions, just comment and I'll try to reply the best to my knowledge. There's most likely a lot of it's going to be kind of like legal things that you probably can't depend on. But if it comes to experience-wise, now that I have the experience of taking a cat on a 24+ hour trip with no sleep for 2 days, just comment and I will see where it goes. Bye! We are doing very well in Japan.